This is the book, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Walls, Worlds Beyond the Antarctica. William Morris believes that after you read his book and his witness testimony, that the world will never be the same for you again. That's what the American Naval Force was called. He was a member of the Continental Navy. He has a wife whose name is Lucy, and they wanted to create a larger family, but because of the war, these plans had to be postponed. After the surrender of Saratoga, on a peaceful night, Morris and his crew were sailing on the Atlantic Ocean, rounding the islands on their way to Charleston Harbor, and they were drinking some whiskey to calm the anxiety of the raw war. And they were talking about James Cook's voyages. James Cook was obsessed with crossing the Antarctic Circle. Now, it wasn't clear who was funding this, or even why his obsession about it. And William Morris goes on to say that he wasn't steeped into it enough, and that he really didn't know much about it, so it didn't captivate him yet. At one point, someone called Captain Butler joins in on these sailor conversations, and he said that somewhere in the polar circle there was a passage some way where you could actually cross it. He said that this passage was a connector to other worlds, and this conversation was held seriously without a moment's hesitation. So William Morris turns to him and now has all of his attention, including 5 or 6 other people, that they were just looking at him dumbfounded. They were expecting him to say that it was a joke. But he wasn't joking. He was seriously saying that there were lands beyond the Antarctic Circle. Butler commented that he knew from good source, at the highest levels, and that these guys were researching and funding expeditions. They were literally doing voyages, trying to penetrate the harsh climate, and their scope was to find lands and possible civilizations. And all of these voyages and researchers were in a hurry to do so because there were a lot of civilians that were circling around there, curious. Everybody wanted to be the new hero. The story was very long and in great detail, and Butler told them that he saw with his own 2 eyes maps of all of these extra lands beyond the Antarctic Circle. At this point, the fatigue and stress of the war caught up and decided to retire for the night. Time went by, and William Morris could not forget this story. After the famous war, many of these ships were being sold, auctioned off. Some were rented, some were destroyed, and at this time, William Morris was a very rich man. Good standing economics, he says. So he made an offer for one of these Navy ships and snatched one up for himself. He was mocked by others, saying that why would he pay so much money for an old ship? What could he possibly need it for? His idea was an exploration trip to the south after Butler's story. Part 2 coming.